This is harsh, but it's absolutely true. Most people will support you right up until the point you start doing better than them. I've seen this happen multiple times in life, and I'm sharing this with you because it was actually something that was taught to me by my mentor, who's a billionaire. And I've seen it happen time and time again. It's happened to myself. I've seen it happen to other people, and they come to me and they say, I can't believe this person is acting this way or treating this, whatever it might be. And you will see support. You will see people kind of giving you that pat on the back, encouraging you, telling you you're doing great, that's awesome, maybe even slightly celebrating your wins. But you will see a change, not in everyone, but in a lot of people in your world, the second you start doing better than them. And then it changes. That's when a lot of people shift. Their mood shifts, their energy shifts, and they just start acting differently. You might even see them pull away. In some cases, you might hear them talking about you to someone else, which absolutely doesn't matter, right? If they're not paying your bills, then you should never care what someone thinks. And you see this happen, and people say, well, why does it happen? I have people ask me that all the time. Like, why wouldn't this person be happy for me? People are inherently wired for competitiveness and survival. And in some odd way, most people, when they see someone, especially someone close to them, elevating above them, there's something inside of them that now brings us a little bit of scarcity to their own survival, which in the most part in today's society, that means nothing. If your best friend decides they're going to start a business and you're like, hey, awesome, I support you, whatever you need, this is awesome, you're going to do amazing. And they start making a few bucks and you're like, oh, it's great. And then they start making more and the business starts growing. You're like, this is awesome, your business is getting so great. Yes, awesome. How can you believe this? You started with nothing in your garage, whatever, right? And this is a prime example of what happened to me. I started a business in my garage, literally with a sewing machine. I got it at a yard sale. And in that time, there were so many people who were like, oh, it's awesome. Why don't you start a little business? Great. I was working full-time as a police officer, and I was telling some people I was doing this thing. And then it started to get busier. And then I started to grow. And then there were some people who were kind of like, And then some people were still supporting me. And then it got to the point where my business grew to the point where I was actually making more money from my business than I was as a full-time police officer. And that was the difference that made the difference. That was the point where I saw so many people pull away. Because now something in their mind was telling them that I was doing better than them. I was doing better than, hey, I was their equal, right? We're making the same money, doing the same job. And if I was doing another job on the side, they didn't care as long as that was not making more money than what they were doing. The second they saw that growth, that explosion of 221B Tactical, and people were talking about it in magazines and on the internet, and people, coworkers were, thinking about buying the gear, and if they were talking to friends in different states, they were buying the gear. That is when I saw almost everybody pull away. And I couldn't believe it. Some of my biggest supporters automatically, it felt like almost overnight, turned into, I don't want to say enemies because that's not the right word, but it was clear as day that they were no longer cheering me on. They were no longer looking to lift me up. They were just there was this animosity. There was this strange mood. And I couldn't figure out. I'm like, wait a second. You guys were cheering me on and, telling me, yeah, this is going to be great, whatever. Like, so the thing that you were cheering me on to get to, when I finally get there, now you're not happy. You're not happy for me. I'm at the place you said you're gonna blow this thing up. And I blow the thing up and you're not happy. You're being standoffish. You're being weird. I literally lived it, and I've seen other people live it. So I'm sharing this with you because my mentor, like I said, he started out and grew to become a billionaire. And he said he saw so many people in his world. And these are people that weren't police officers making, 60, 70 grand a year. These were people who were worth 40 million, 50 million, $100+ million. When they, what do you have to be concerned about at all when you're worth over $100 million? But he saw people who were worth that much and more. As he got to that point where he was getting closer and closer, and ultimately he reached it to become a billionaire, he saw how all those people started treating him, how they pulled away, how they started. Now, all of a sudden, they were his cheerleader. Now they're talking about it. Now they're questioning what he's doing. All kinds of weird things started happening. I was like, wow. Can you imagine being worth 40, 50, 60, 100, 120, 150 million dollars and not being happy for your buddy who was right along with you, struggling in the suck and made it to $1 billion, and not being happy? I would, to me, now, you're going to have those rare 1%ers, because that's me, and there's a couple of people in my life that are like me, where as I've grown, and 221B is now this global corporation, I've built my commercial real estate portfolio, right? It started, 7 figures, now to 8 figures, right? Trying to build it to 9 figures. So people have been along the ride with me, and there's a couple who are like, man, that's awesome. Let's go celebrate that. And they're genuinely happy. There's no animosity. And these are people who have a fraction of what I have, and they don't care. They're just they're genuinely happy for me. But they're the 1%ers. Most have disappeared. Most I don't speak to anymore. And not all of it is because of me. They just saw the growth, they saw the success. And once I got past where they were, even some of my early mentors, once I got past them, their mood changed. Everything changed. It's sad, but it is a reality. One of the things that I always saw as I was on my way to the top was that when I went to someone that was doing better than me and I was trying to get to their level, and they saw that I was willing to hustle and I was willing to grind, they never, ever talked me out of doing what I was doing, unless it was something, bad for business and was going to be, go against my growth. They were always telling me what I needed to do. They were supporting me because they were on a higher level than me. The only people during that time on my way up that ever said, I don't know why you're doing that, you shouldn't do that, you should, do that, and kind of talked down, were the people who were below the level I was at that time. I had already surpassed them. So when I'd go to them and they knew that I had surpassed them, and I'd say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about going into this, thinking about buying this business, I'm thinking about buying this property. And they saw that move was something that's going to maybe elevate me even more past them. I don't know why you're doing that. Why don't you just be happy with what you got? I wouldn't get into it. Really, really odd. But I want to share this with you so when it happens, because I know if you're watching a video like this, you're looking to level up. You're looking to increase your level of success. I don't care if it's to get in better shape, make more money, have a better relationship. You are looking to level up. And I want you to know, you will see it. I've seen it with women. Women coming together in misery when there's a breakup or there's a divorce or whatever. And while they're searching, everything's happy, everything's good, right? And then one of the women in the group finds a guy, a great guy, and she's so happy, right? And then they get deeper and deeper involved, and then they get engaged. And then there's some people who are happy, and then there's some people who are like, oh. And then they get married. And there's only one person left that's happy for you. And so many others, now all of a sudden, who were cheering you on to find an awesome guy, you finally find one, you get engaged, you get married, and all of a sudden, for some weird reason, they're not happy for you. And you can't figure it out. You're like, what did I do? I talk to so many women who tell me that. I'm sure it happens with men too, but I'm just telling you my experience is women telling me this. And I share with them what I just shared with you. And it's okay. It's going to happen. But what happens when you know it's going to happen is very different from it happening and you're like, what's going on? So that's why I shared. There's a lot of things that I didn't know, and when they were happening to me on my way up, I was kind of like, why is this happening? But now I have the knowledge, from my mentor and from my life experience. So I want to share it with you. Just be ready. And don't think anything's wrong. It's not your fault when it happens. Just know that it can and will happen, and you need to keep going and look for the 1%ers that stick with you, because they're the real ones. They're the ones that will most likely be with you till the end.